Welcome everyone, this is your host Abraham L. Jaguar, a professional game master. Today, I begin a new review series featuring Phantasy Star, the tabletop role-playing game. I am very excited about this game. For those of you unfamiliar, this is based on the legendary video game series JRPG video game series by the same name from Sega. This is all about science fantasy at its finest, combining many elements of fantasy fiction with sci-fi and high-tech environments, weaponry, and everything is blended very well together, where the surreal becomes the practical and the practical becomes the extraordinary. Now, let's talk about the quality of the PDF. Everything is well written, organized, and explained. The document is fully bookmarked and hyperlinked, so it's going to be very easy for you to navigate the entire PDF. The graphic design, the layout, it expresses the theme so well. Like, there are so many good things about the aesthetics of this book, but also the presentation, the illustrations, the images. By the way, everything is handcrafted. So overall, the quality, top notch, top notch. Now let's talk about the contents. And here in the introductory section, I have a major criticism. The introduction to tabletop role-playing games. Okay, listen to this. Phantasy Star Tabletop Role-Playing is a cooperative storytelling game. No, it is not. It is not. This is a tabletop role-playing game. You're not telling a story about the characters. And it says here, where you and your friends take on the roles of heroic protagonists. You are playing a role. You're not telling a story. And here, over here. In a tabletop role-playing game, your group tells the story through conversation. This is not a conversation game. You're not having a conversation between the players and the game master. The players and the game master do not exist in the fiction. Everything is handled through roleplay. If you want to know the color of a particular ship, you don't tell. A game master that doesn't exist in the fiction, a game master, what is the color of the ship? No. I look at the ship to appreciate its color. If you want to know what's inside of a box, instead of, I want to open the box, Mr. Game Master, sir, can I open the box? Sure, open the box. Okay, if I open the box, what is inside? What is inside the box? I open the box and look inside of it. The magic of roleplay will be destroyed if you have conversations and tell stories instead of playing a role and playing a game. Tabletop role-playing game, playing a role, playing a game. This is not Raven, which is a hybrid storytelling game. This is not Hardy Boys. This is not Children of the Fall. This is not Steam Build Riders. This is not a hybrid storytelling RPG system, because in those systems you have segments where you tell stories. Here you're not going to be like, my character enters the cave and then he starts cutting away at the vegetation inside, and then enemies appear, and then my character starts to kill the enemies. No. The game master presents a situation. The cave in front of you is infested with shrubbery and purple-looking trees. And then the players describe their action. They interact with the game world, with the fiction, by describing their actions. I pull out my beam saber and begin cutting a path through the vegetation. You're not telling stories about your characters, you're experiencing the game world as your characters. This is a tabletop role-playing game. This is not a hybrid. I've looked through the book. This is not a hybrid experience. You don't have Those segments where you tell stories about your characters, like in Raven, Children of the Fall, etc., it can undermine the magic. If you play it as a conversation or as a storytelling game, you won't make it, you won't travel into the fiction, have that amazing journey into the fiction. Instead of telling about your characters, actually play the role. And then it says, what is Phantasy Star? This is a good explanation. A series of multi-platform video games created by Sega. The series is known for its rich science fantasy setting that combines mystical themes with technological elements to form epic tales that span millennia. Those tales are formed because you live those situations. Right now, you are listening to my voice. You are not telling a story about my voice. You are using your ears to listen to my voice, your eyes to look at your monitor. You're not telling a story. If you want to tell a story in the fiction to a non-player character, sure, you can do that. You can approach the non-player character and tell a non-player character, hey, have I ever told you about the time when I saved those people that were trapped in the bunker, blah, 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 and you tell the story to the non-player character, right? So this role-playing game explanation is pretty close to the two worst role-playing game explanations that I have ever seen in my life. The Walking Dead Universe RPG and Fabula Ultima. Those are bottom of the barrel. Those are the worst tabletop RPG explanations that have ever existed. But this is getting pretty close to it. But don't worry, there are many other good things. This is that is, if you already know how to play tabletop RPGs, you won't find this as an obstacle. But if this is your first tabletop RPG, you will have to look for some videos to know how to actually roleplay. And then it says, because this is the original Dave Arneson roleplay concept. This is not the Gary Gygax. Remember, Gary Gygax never understood roleplay. He was a businessman and a rules organizer, but he never understood playing a role. He was always like, what do you do? What do you intend to do? What are your plans now? He didn't know how to get into the role. For him, you always had a bunch of floating heads, the dungeon master, game master, and the players, and they were telling stories. They were having conversations about the characters in the table instead of playing the role, like Dave Arneson did, and his players. And it says here, the themes of the game. As a specific genre of video games, most JRPGs as a genre. I don't know if you can call them like that because you have so many genres within JRPGs. Well, that's a subject for another video, where it says here, they share common elements such as fantastic worlds, legendary heroes, an ensemble cast of companions, and an epic struggle against a dark and deadly threat. You also have information on the fantasy elements. Because despite having those science fiction elements, there are also some things that could be considered incredible, unimaginable, even otherworldly. Here you have explanations on the action hero style. How this is all a grand adventure that combines magic and technology. You have swords and blasters, wizards and aliens, dungeons and biolabs. You also have details on the major struggle between the forces of good and evil, and the journeys across space and time. The tales in Phantasy Star Universe take place in techno-fantasy worlds of mystery and legend. Tales that you will be creating by playing a role. You can build upon established settings such as Algol or Ragol. Or you can create a different setting altogether. This is possible for you. This is all about perilous realms, galactic societies, ancient mysteries. This is all about a living universe. You also have a guide telling you about the structure of the book, the rules-related section, the galactic lore section. It is all here. And this concludes this part of the review series. This has only just begun. In the next part, we are going to talk about playing the game. So yes, this introduction. And like I said, don't get me wrong, this is a good introduction. There is a good introduction. This is a good tabletop RPG, but the introduction is bad. The introduction to roleplay is bad. Everything related to the mechanics, the rules, that is great. The theme, the lore, all of that is perfect. Perfect. But yeah, the introduction, you definitely need to look elsewhere for if you don't know how to play tabletop RPGs, but everything else, top notch. So thank you for watching this part of the review series. Don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, consider joining as a member using the super thanks button. Take a look at the information in the description and in the pinned comment. This has been your host, Abraham L. Jaguar, a professional game master. And remember, it is better to roleplay and fail in character than not to roleplay and fail as a player. Once again, thank you and see you later.